In my forthcoming book, Zero Limits, there's a quote by Dr. Hu Lin that says, "The purpose of life is to be restored back to love, moment to moment. To fulfill this purpose, the individual must acknowledge that he is 100% responsible for creating his life the way it is. He must come to see that it is his thoughts of that create his life the way it is moment to moment. The problems are not people, places, and situations, but rather the thoughts of them. He must come to appreciate that there is no such thing as out there." Good morning.
Good morning.
Somebody had a case of first-class rage yesterday. Who was that person? And this person said they were willing to talk about it. Are you willing to talk about it? Would you come up? Do you want to come up here and I'll hand you the mic? He had no idea I was going to call on him.
No, you get a chance to clean with this, because he's going to talk about really what an Irish called a first-class rage, where you literally kill people. I mean, so that if you have heart problems in your family, it has to do what he's going to talk about. If you have diabetes, if you have back problems, it's what he's going to talk about. So you should be paying attention in terms of cleaning, because you have no idea what's going on. You should know that we don't. The real problem is that we don't know. We don't know. Some of you, sorry about this, you're not going to get it until you get up there in the world and get slammed again. And it was only a self-inflicted. So I had him, he was talking to me as I went by him, and then we kind of sort of chat. I thought, wow, it'd be interesting to have him.
Well, one of my missions in this life is to learn how to use all my unbelievably high-quality rage well, because I have so much of it, and it'd be a shame to waste it. But this morning, I woke up at 1:45 and started all these events of my life of when I'd really been angry and raging. It's not angry, really raging at different people, and just there's so many instances, and that's just said. I'll be somewhat disciplined about it. I won't raise my voice too much. I will just, but that's just, So I've this morning just one after another. So I was up since 2, cleansing, and it's amazing how when you cleanse it, how that other person shifts in me, and it's just been an awesome experience this morning. And then I was thinking about it, and so I ran into the good Dr. Lin, and so I was telling him a little bit about my background. My mother was, and her mother, both were raging, direct mother-descendant Irish, and really, really raging. And my grandmother my mother's mother raged on her, I know, because I was around enough, and she was around enough to rage on me as well. So my mother raged on me until she was taken away when I was 7, taken away crazy. Then my father's mother came, and she's also 100% direct mother lineage descendant of Irish, full of rage. And her rage goes to, well, whatever the excuse was, her husband had died, and da-da-da. So she raged at me from then on. So I got very good at doing academics and things, and I went and had a career, and the career was quite successful in lots of ways. My personal life's a little more rocky because of my rage issues with my mother and my second mother. But the interesting thing about my professional life is that I would do these different things, get these teams together, get them going in good directions, give them a lot of help, and then of course they would do really, really dumb things, and my typical mistake was expect them to do more than they could, give them more resources than they knew how to handle, give them tasks and opportunities that were bigger than they knew how to handle. They wouldn't handle it. Then I would, of course, be very few, me and my partners, but I would certainly lead it, and I would happily lead the charge, being very upset with them, raging at them. And, of course, they would turn around and just, this is the one yesterday about...
Can we stop for a minute? I want to remind you folks that this room is going to go buggy. If you're going to set up any computers, then you should do that before you come into the room. The room... No, I don't need any apology. You don't need to... I just want to remind, this room cannot support us if it goes crazy. You're going to get, by the end of this day, if this room goes crazy, you're going to be pissed off. Stuff's going to come up and hit the fan. What we want to do in this room is to make sure the room maintains its rhythm. And so I'm not saying don't bring anything in, but you should do it outside and then bring it in so it doesn't ring up, really. Otherwise, you won't get what you came for. And only God knows that. But my responsibility is to keep this room steady, tuned. So if you were in Austin, if you came into Austin Airport, one of the things you'll read, they were tuning the place up. Did you read that? Any of you who came in? Yeah. I mean, they were tuning up the airport. This is what we want to do to this room. Go ahead.
So I want to acknowledge the cleansing process has helped a lot as I go back to those different, teams that I really raged on, and start trying to cleanse them. And I still have a lot more to do, but it is awesome to me how much energy there is in rage, how much energy I have expended in so many different places, and I look forward to learning how to use all that beautiful energy beautifully rather than raging at other people. But there's not enough time for me to tell you all the times I've raised it, how many different business situations, how many different persons, how many of my children. Anyway, so I have lots and lots to clean up, and I deeply appreciate the good doctor for helping me have a better way of cleaning it. I have been through lots of therapy systems because I was in a position to do it, so I've tried lots and lots of therapy systems. And I'm deeply grateful to being here because this works better. And so I now look forward to using my rage energy in a high-quality, positive way, and boy, do I have a lot of cleanup to do. So, but in the meantime, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Doctor.
There's one way in the back. Yes.
What part of Ireland were your ancestors from?
One was from, southwest, and that was the O'Driscoll, and the McGraths were from. I'm losing it right now. I don't remember.
I want to tell you, the people from Boston, if the Irish didn't do whatever they were up about, because they really were the ones that saved all of scholastic records from the Greeks and the Romans, if the Irish didn't do that, Harvard University would not exist. So it's important to get the Irish to let go of, stuff. But without the Irish, if you look at the history of humanity, without the Irish, believe it or not, can you imagine? The Irish, yuck. But without the Irish, you would the whole scholastic history of humanity would have been lost. They kept all the records, they did all of that. And so that you were able to get that, but without them, it would have been gone. During the Dark Ages, everything went booky. I mean, it went dark, it was crazy. And so with the Irish, so we want to thank the Irish. I would ask him some questions because I could see the bubbling on that side. You're gonna, oh, okay.
I want to ask, you said you woke up in the middle of the night. Okay. Did you have any body pain associated with this rage?
In the past, I have lots.
Today?
But not, no. I've done lots. I've been working on this 25 years, doing all the body therapies, all those other things. So I've loosened a lot of that up, so it flows a little more easy.
You didn't experience any this time?
No, it was just, I could just feel the pure rage energy. I could just feel me raging at those people, and I could really feel how much that I really had it, and even having it, how much I was repressing it, even as I was raging at them, how little I was actually showing them.
But
So I
what
could
he doesn't realize, you don't see, and this is why I'm saying you want to talk to God, is that he's going to go kaput. As he's talking to me, I'm doing my cleaning, I can see all the dust come off of his heart. Now, would he be aware of it? Hell no, he wouldn't be aware of it.
My family dies. One of the major ways the men in my family die is congestive heart failure, and women, congestive heart failure.
When you go, you won't know why. So it's better that you can prevent it, so you don't have these massive heart attacks, you don't use, so that's what he's up to. So as I'm watching, it's ancient stuff. It goes back thousands and thousands of years, and I would like for you to tell them that. So what is your
when I
ancestral
try
line?
to understand this, we all are trained to go back, and so when I do my regression stuff, I am definitely one of the Norsemen's groups who came over and raped and pillaged all over and became that whole team that then became the Western Europeans and the French that went over and did England again, and that was part of that group, and then the ones who came over here and took this land away from the natives, Native Americans. I was definitely part of all that. So I have generations. When he does the generations back there, I'm all of that, all through all that rage. Yes.
This has been very helpful to me. I've not really heard of the concept of raging, but I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my parents and always told me about the history of Irish raging on black people. And this was well known. You saw the movie The Gangs of New York. In fact, one of the ways that Irish got jobs was to rape and pillage black people and chase them off of their employment.
That's wonderful. See how that stuff comes out?
And the Irish would take the job.
Great.
But what I was involved in was reactive rage, because me and my teenage friends would go on pillages into the white community and look for Irish to beat up, because we were often victimized by the Irish police. And so then we would go on reactive rages, and if we would catch Irish people, we'd go into their communities and beat them up. And so it was a cycle, and I didn't understand. You just helped me understand a deeper meaning of what we were reacting to.
My family did that real well. I was raised in the South originally, first 18 years in Mississippi, and my family did it real well. And there were parts of it that were good, and this black community was unbelievable because I didn't have a mother, and so the black community was unbelievably good in helping raise me. I can remember the people. Mary Black was this unbelievable, powerful woman who helped raise me. And I have deep appreciation for the spiritual breadth and depth of that community that could stand in front of that raging grandmother of mine and still take care of us kids. So.
Thank you.
I would like to know what kind of cleansing you were doing. If you woke up at 2 in the morning and you felt all this rage, did you do what you were learning yesterday with that?
Oh, I've read the formula to the ninth. But I appreciate your part of it, which is I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And I'm sorry for forgetting how much you love me, God. And your part to that I didn't catch when you first said it, that part was unbelievably important for me throughout this whole night of, I'm sorry, God, I forgot how much you love me, and please forgive me, God, for forgetting how much you love me. And when I was going through all of this, and then thank you, God, for forgiving me for that. And then it could transfer to, okay, and also I apologize to these people that I raged at. But doing it with God first was always the first important, and just that was unbelievably powerful. And I even got up and did the breathing exercise, at least one round. It was just quite a night. Thank you. Yeah.
Now, he's really talking about all of us, right? I mean, so it's wonderful that he comes up, because I tell you, this is what happens in families, in businesses, and between countries. This is why here in Austin, this thing with Mexico and this thing with America, this thing with the blacks, this thing with the white, the things with the Hawaiians, I mean, you can clean it up. You can clean it up so that your life, the right people come into your life, not because you attracted them, because God made it so. So as I listen, I sit with you during lunches and I'm going, hello, hello, it's only about God. So you have all the resources already. This is what the book is all about. You've got it. It's now getting rid of the crud so you can get it, your daily bread. But it's horrendous what we carry in our souls and that we don't know. Horrendous. I mean, the hatred is horrendous. You want to ask him, yeah?
You know, I just decided to share this. I'm Jewish and have a lot of ancestors that died in the Holocaust. And my mother was born in Paris, France, and they fled when she was about 5, and they had called family in Czechoslovakia to see if they could move there, and the family there was like, no, don't come here, it's bad, and so they left, and they went to the West Indies, and so there was a lot, and so my mom, when she was like 5, they would stand in the lines, you know, to get food and water, and they'd get up to the front of the line, there would be nothing left. And my grandfather had gone to New York to get work, so it was a lot of lack. So that's what, you know, my mom, when she got a bag of cookies, she'd eat the whole bag, you know, because she wanted to make sure that she had something to eat. And so there's a lack, there was slaughter, you know, death, and so that's bringing up for me right now, and I didn't know how much it really affected me. You know, I wasn't there, but, you know, I prayed about it.
What you have to again be willing to do is take 100% responsibility, because you cannot have a problem unless you came in with it. You cannot have that problem. The data, you brought in the data, the information, and if you don't claim, that's why you're here. God says, hey, I'm going to give you one more chance. Come on in. So you come in and you go, huh? You're mad, angry, huh? But you're here to clean it up so you can be God. You can be peace. This is a tough way to go, but it's only you. It's only in you. And that's a hard pitch, because most of the time you'll get pissed off. Yes, Bruce?
I'm Scots Irish. My middle name is McLeod, and I know something about rage. The family I married into is a very loving, giving family, and even for people who haven't been exposed to it in this lifetime, like in buckets and waterfalls, just a drop of rage is enough to unbalance a large group of people. You don't have to have killing rage or be consumed with it. Just one drop is enough to make people think that you're yelling at them when you're not, or that you're a physical threat, or that you mean harm, even if you don't. And I didn't really understand the ancestral connection, but my ancestors are from the Outer Hebrides, and every day they had to defend their shores from the English, the Irish, and everybody else that decided they wanted to park on Scotland's land. And so I suspected, they slept in their battle gear, the kilts, etc. And anyway, bringing it back to the present, I know from my family, my birth family, that you didn't have power if you didn't have rage. And I can remember a time in my life where I looked for people to be unfair or thoughtless or a little stingy or just any kind of little minor violation, so that I could release my rage on them, so that I could pounce, so that I could crush them. and that's affected all the relationships I've had my whole life. And one of the things that's very apparent even before today is that the tribe wants to banish you when you're like that. You'll end up dying lonely, alone, and empty, because there's no future for rage. And I appreciate learning these new things this weekend, Dr. Lynn, Dr. Joe, and I thank you for standing up and talking about your rage.
Bruce, can you write that down? There's no future for rage? Right, you write that down. And if Suzanne would be willing, that would be a good motto for everybody. There's no future for rage.
I do have a curiosity though. Rage, if we get to the pure energy of rage, it can be used so constructively to build so many good things. If we get to the energy rather than to the rage.
We're talking about rage, but when we come in, isn't there also a counterbalance of goodness, of appreciation? What about that?
Yeah, but how can you appreciate something when you don't know that's in you that's causing all of this? So let's say you show up and he goes into rage. Something in you triggered that. So why not be able to come zero so he won't be mad?
Oh, absolutely, I agree, but I don't understand
You ever notice
why
that?
the goodness wouldn't overcome the rage. Why wouldn't he calm in my presence, not mine, but a person's presence?
Yeah, so let's ask David that. I'm curious, I'm watching him. So I'm going to ask him, if let's say she's angry, and then you decide to help her not be angry, how successful have you been with that?
But he's not helping me, he's just being.
Yeah, but what kind of help do you want?
I'm not asking for any help. I'm just saying it just happens.
What just happens?
That a calming presence, I'm asking, why wouldn't a calming presence? And you're not helping, it's just there, it just is.
Yeah, so...
Calming presence deflates the rage.
Yeah, so, but do you ever notice you're in the presence of rage?
Yes,
Yeah, so how do you help that rage?
I don't help it.
I know, but how do you calm
I
it?
deal with it,
Yeah.
I maintain my presence.
Why is that rage in your presence?
That's a good question.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you come with a button that's going to get pushed, he's going to get mad. But if you come zero to begin with, you're always at zero, he can't get mad. He can't. So it's so important for you as a being to be yourself as God created you. Perfect. Because if you come in perfect, he cannot get mad. But if you come in unknowing, like the Psalm says, Psalm 19, verse 12, there are hidden things that we come into a room with, and it's going to trigger people. And you keep thinking it's them. But if you come in free and clear, wow, you will see God in the presence of that person. God. I don't want to handle anymore. I want to stay with this, and I want you to really clean it, because if you come in as God would come in, the room would be perfect. And you can't grasp this. Some of you are trying to have questions in your mind. You can't do it. You can't explain it away. Cannot be explained away. You're either zero or you're not. And you try to explain it, the other person will go, well, that's what therapy is about. Explaining things doesn't work, because the therapist is the one that's the problem. Really, because if the therapist came in zero, his work would be easy and he'd get paid. But we never do that. We keep thinking, why is that person like that? Well, something triggered them, because you weren't in zero. This is a tough way to go now. This is why when I worked at Hawaii State Hospital, I mean, I would come in days, the place was just crazy. I go, oh, I thought, now here's my thinking. Didn't I clean on that one? And well, the place's still crazy. Because I was willing to say, okay, something's going on, and as I worked only on myself, the room quiet down. It only got crazy because I showed up with stuff. And that, you got to get that one. It's not your boss. It's not anybody. It's just a memory. It'll trigger hell. Like somebody said, Bruce said, all you need is one little tad of memory and the whole room will go crazy. You'll trigger questions all over the place, as opposed to if you have a question, you could erase it. You can erase it, as opposed to having questions. You dwell and it just takes you nowhere. So I want you to be clear now. It sounds like I'm rough, but boy, you gotta get, nothing can happen in your presence if you're zero. Nothing. Only love can be there. If you're not zero, hell will break loose. Sorry, Joseph. Where's my friend Joseph? He sat down. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Cindy.
A lot of vibration going on in this table. I mean, literally, physically, we can feel it. And on the floor. So, Dr. Lynn, what's this about?
Joe can comment on that.
I mean, it's the vibration there.
You know what I feel is that the room is almost rearranging itself. If you really look at the quantum physics type thing where they tell you that the tables and the chairs and everything else is just condensed molecules that are vibrating at a rate that we don't really see, my mind, as I'm sitting over there, I see it vibrating. I'm seeing it vibrate. Yesterday, I just felt it vibrate. Today, I'm seeing it vibrate. And part of what's going on is when he's bold enough to stand up here and talk about the rage, and then we have some other people talking about the rage, there's a lot of energy that's being released as we clean. I'm doing the cleansing as I'm hearing about this because my family goes all the way back to ancient Rome, who tried to conquer the entire planet. So, and I wasn't really thinking about that, but because it came up, boy, I got all kind of energy going through me. I see this room trying to heal us, and I see it alive with energy. And part of it began yesterday, even before yesterday morning, because he and I came here several times before this event ever started to check out the room, to see if the room would allow us to come in. And he began yesterday with talking about the sacredness of this room, and he spent a lot of time talking about that, to the extent that I thought, why is he talking so much about the room? Because this room is helping us cleanse. And part of the reason it was set up to help us cleanse is because of this spiritual man right here who was responsible for building it. His energy is in this, and he is very much connected to the divine. So I just think this whole room is alive, and some of us are feeling it on a physical level, and some of us are just thinking like, wow, I'm feeling the buzz. not knowing what else might be going on in this room itself.
Joe, what's
Yes.
the room's name?
I don't know what the room's name is. I asked him, and he said he didn't know. Do you know what the room's name is at this point? No.
It's Sean.
It's Shy. The room is Shy. David might know what the room is called.
Travis.
It's called the Travis Room. Well, he did call it the Travis Room. So, other questions, comments? Does anybody know a good joke? We have a guest speaker, which I think is appropriate to bring her up at this point. Let me introduce her real quick. I love her book. It's called The Easiest Way. It was one of my first introductions to Ho'oponopono. When I first heard about the unusual therapist and I was trying to find him, I heard that there was one little book that was like a kindergarten introduction to this whole process, and it came as close as possible to explaining that you are 100% responsible for everything that's going on. And Mabel Katz is here. She's a business consultant, author, speaker, and seminar leader. She's a shining star in the LA Latino community. She has a radio show on the Spanish language radio station, KTNQ 1020 AM in Los Angeles. She travels around the world where she fascinates large audiences talking about the easiest way. She's a powerful woman who is all too tempting to describe as the Latino Marianne Williamson. And if you can give a big round of applause, we'll bring her up. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. It's great to be here and being able to share with you. Somebody asked me the other night how long I've been doing Ho'oponopono, and I just realized it's been 10 years. So I was one of those people that used to go to a lot of seminars and taking, when I woke up, I wanted to know it all. And I saw so much drama and thinking, because my mother did this to me and my father said that to me, that I said there has to be an easiest and fastest way. And I kept looking till I got to Ho'oponopono, and I had to take Ho'oponopono a couple of times, review it a couple of times to really realize that that's what I was looking for. Because this is about no gurus, you are your own guru, you have your own answers. You can resolve, all the solutions are inside of you. There is nobody out there that knows more than you. And for me, it was a discovery because, we all look for freedom, we all look for happiness, but we look in the wrong places and we ask the wrong questions. So I have to tell you how I woke up. I was one of those people that thought that happiness was in the material things. So I was in the, in the race. So when I'm going to have that house, then I'll be happy. When I'm going to have that car, then I'll be happy. When I have that husband, then I'll be happy. And then you have all that and you are not happy. And you keep looking. So I had a lot of rage. Actually, I share that. And I played it a lot with my older son. And one day he talked to me the same way I used to talk to him. And he woke me up. Actually, I looked at him in his eyes. I didn't say anything, but I told myself, I said, Mabel, you have to do something about it. And that's when I started, taking all these seminars. And I think one of my first classes was yoga. And at the end of the class, the teacher would tell us to visualize something, to imagine that something that we wanted, it was already happening. And for me, it happened that same day, that same afternoon. And that really made me think. I said, it could be that we are so powerful that whatever we think, whatever we imagine, that we can really manifest. So that's how my journey started. And I love this because, I'm still an accountant. And now instead of the radio show, I have a TV show. I share this with the Latino community every day, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. every morning. And I tell them that now they have a choice to wake up with good news or bad news. And the idea is to realize the power we have to change our life without depending on anybody or anything outside ourselves. And again, realizing that, it gave me a lot of freedom. And I have so many things to tell you. I mean, in 10 years, I have so many anecdotes and things that happened to me, my family. I'm going to pick and choose. And I know Haleakala always wants me to tell you because I'm still working as an accountant. And I practice this with my clients, but especially on tax audits. You know, I prepare taxes, but I also represent people in tax audits. And sometimes I don't believe the results that I get. And my clients are still waiting for their bills, you know, to come in. I say, no, I told you, no change. And but you know the secret? The secret is to keep your mouth shut. Because see, our problem is that we talk. If we didn't talk, we didn't have that many problems. Our problem is that we talk. And especially that we come from that we think we know and we don't know anything. So the most unbelievable things is when you get off your own way, because we are our worst obstacles in our way. So when you keep your mouth shut and you are willing to repeat, thank you, thank you, thank you, I love you, or any of these tools, it's amazing how people will transform, you know, in front of you. And people that you never thought possible, you know, will react differently, or you never know where it's gonna come from or who it's gonna come from. So I see it in my kids. I have a very special story, especially for a Latino mother, that I was the one leaving the house because my husband wanted to stay with the kids. And now they are 23 and 19, and you know, we are best friends. My oldest son calls me every day to say, I know you are busy, but I just call you to tell you I love you. So isn't that what we want? You know that the best time to talk to our kids is when they sleep, because they don't, the subconscious never sleeps. So whenever, you know, husbands also, that works with husbands too. Okay, when they sleep, you know, you're just going to say, I love you, thank you, I'm grateful you are in my life. And that, you know, that's really miracles. So, Haleakala, any special story? Oh, well, no, it wasn't my mother, actually, but it was in Argentina. I'm originally from Argentina. And we went with the Haleakala to present Ho'oponopono in Buenos Aires. And one of I received an email later on, and a person tells me the solar water saved my mother's life. So she tells me the story that she shared with her mother about the process of the solar water, and her mother felt inspired to prepare it. She put a little bit on the bathtub, and she took a bath before going on a walk with some friends. So she said that they got caught into a robbery, and there were gunshots. So her friends kind of tend to drop on the floor, and she stood up there, and she said that there was something around her that she couldn't, you know, really describe. But actually, her friends got hurt, and one of the bullets touched her, but it didn't even leave a mark. And she said, it had to be the solar water. It had to be the solar water. So it was the solar water? We don't know. But like anything, you look at results. And you know, I always tell people, if it feels good here, I mean, this is gonna go crazy with this stuff. There is no way the intellect can grab this. But if you really get in your heart that, you know, maybe it doesn't cost, hey, I try it. I mean, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. One of my first biggest story, I think it was when I separated. I went to rent a place, and a friend of mine says, "Why don't we move in together so we can afford a better or nicer place?" So we find this beautiful place that it was unbelievable that we were able to rent it. We qualified because of the two incomes at that time. And one day, I think before signing the lease contract, she says, I changed my mind, I'm gonna leave to Arizona. And you know, the first thing you said is like, what am I gonna do? And you know, all the things come into your mind. But by inspiration, I got to call the realtor. I started with my cleaning, you know, thank you. And I called the realtor and I asked her to put the contract under my name. She said yes. And you know, like 2 or 3 months later, so much work started coming in my way that I think it was 2 months later, I realized I could afford that place all on my own. And then 9 months later, the owner calls me and says, Mabel, I know you love this place, but I'm going to sell it. And you have, I'm giving you priority, but otherwise you will have to move. So I said, look, I love this place, but I don't have the money for the down payment. There is no way I can qualify for a loan. And I said, well, what I know is how to clean. I'm going to do my cleaning, and if this is the right place, God will get me the loan, because I can't. I can give you a whole class about qualifying for a loan as an accountant. So I said, there is no way. There is no way. I could have a lot of degrees and I could be very smart, but I cannot get myself this loan. So anyway, I have to tell you, I had a lot of cleaning to do, trusting that if that was the right place, it would happen, and if not, it wasn't. And actually, the lease contract expired, and it was like, one of us would say, hey, did you read this? Expiring. So anyway, it actually expired, and I said, well, I have to call the owner and tell him. I cannot just go ignoring this. So I called him, thank you, I love you, before I call, while I'm talking to him, after I hung up. And I said, Ken, I love this place, and I want to buy it, but I didn't get the loan yet. And he says, Mabel, this is not a very good time to put it in the market anyway. So just prepare an extension of the contract and fax it, and I'll sign it. You think that I would have thought of that? I would have thought only of going crying, please help me, give me another chance. But you understand what I mean? Those are the things that only God can do. So only I said, I didn't get it. And guess what? A couple of, a month later or less, I had the loan, and the person that got it for me actually called me to let me know that he could help me. So, those kind of things is only when we get off of our own way and we realize we don't know anything, and we do the cleaning. I used to tell my, 2 teenage boys where the mother went a little bit nuts, practicing some Hawaiian crazy stuff. I used to tell my son, my little one, and I says, I know that I talk about weird things, but they work. So yeah, Mom, they work, because remember you told me what to do, and when I was having problems at school, and now I get along well with all my teachers. How did that happen? I don't know. So anyway, any questions?
Are you doing the 4 phrases, or are you doing something else besides I love you, I'm sorry?
No, I just do I love you only, or thank you. It will work. They are like shortcuts. So basically what we need to do is what we are doing. Whatever you do, what you are doing is taking 100% responsibility. I'm sorry, please forgive me for whatever is in me that has created this. But actually just saying thank you or I love you, it will work.
Are you doing it round the clock, nonstop?
Yeah, well, as much as I can, because I still react, I still have opinions and judgments, and a lot of times I catch myself not cleaning. But as soon as I catch myself, I go back to the cleaning, because I know it's the only thing that works.
Do you feel that if you're cleaning during the night because you do it so much during the day, is your subconscious mind picking up the I love you and just carrying it through the night?
I find myself many times waking up knowing that I was doing the cleaning, and many times when I wake up and I remember the dream, I said, I'm wondering if I was cleaning, I said, was I cleaning, I think. But really, I think it will go in automatic. I mean, if you really, something that I learned also is very important to ride one horse. Your subconscious got kind of confused, a problem comes out and say, what do we do now? What technique do we use? So when you really are true, when you find really what works for you, I always tell people you just have to do what works for you. And that only you know. So in my case, I find myself a lot of times, even when I react, when I blame, my feeling is the cleaning is still going.
Have you cleaned with the IRS?
Well, I use a lot of these things when I go to the IRS, okay? and I go, some of the IRS desks have some one of these and sticker thing form. So one of those agents have some zippers on their desk now. Yeah. Hey, I'm just cleaning. I'm just doing my cleaning. It's not. I have to tell you. I usually get. I have many cases to tell you, but there was one that there was this big lady, and she was so tough. So tough. So I kept cleaning and cleaning. The second time I had to meet with her a second time. So I go the second time. The second time she accepts any deductions that I bring her. They were actually personal. This was a real estate broker that actually did some even repairs in her own house that I said, well, you know, what she does is she does a lot of work in some houses so she can sell it better. You know, well, anyway, the first time she told me, hey, my mother is a real estate broker. I know what kind of expenses a real estate broker can have. The second time, well, she would accept everything, and at the very end, when she showed me the thing to see if I agree or something, she told me, I need to congratulate you for your professionalism, she said. She says, I know you are here defending your clients' rights. But anyway, this was a case actually that I was representing for a client of a CPA office that I'm associated. I have my own practice, but sometimes I help in this CPA office. And actually was a client of them. So we knew she was going to owe money. There wasn't any way. I mean, I don't know. She made $100,000 to tell you a number, and she kind of had 90,000 deductions. You know, so it wasn't reasonable at all, and there wasn't any way. We knew we would end with a bill, but one of the partners talks to the client and says, "Well, you know, you can really get hit with fraud penalties, and those are very, very high. But that will depend on the relationship that Mabel establishes with the auditor. Look at the responsibility. But you know, with the cleaning, you can do anything. So, you know, I wasn't scared at all. That didn't scare me at all. Anyway, when she shows me the bill, the first thing I look is penalties. You know how much penalty she got? 0. No penalties. So, but again, it's not me. I know it's not me. It's just the cleaning, you know, and allowing these things to happen. And I always said, look, I'm from Argentina. I'm Jewish. I'm an accountant. I mean, I have it all of people that think that we are, you know, superior. We are the chosen one. We know. So if I was able to let go, you know, especially of thinking, anybody can do it. This really works for everybody. And I actually, for those that have sometimes problems with letting go, you know, because we need to control, and I brought you a poem that somebody shared with us many years ago. It says, giving up is merely quitting. Letting go is sweet release. Giving up is cries of anguish. Letting go is perfect peace. Giving up is hard and heavy. Letting go is loose and light. Giving up is simply failure. Letting go, success inside. Letting go, I trade my blueprint for a perfect, pure design. Giving up is very human. Letting go is most divine. Giving up is death at sundown. Letting go, the rising sun. Giving up is there's. I'm sorry, I need my glasses. Giving up is there, it's over. Letting go, I've just begun. So really, really letting go is the only way. It's the only way. Any questions? I don't mind questions. I love questions.
Are you a CPA or an enrolled?
I'm a CPA in Argentina, here and I'm an enrolled agent.
Enrolled. What
Yeah.
year did you become enrolled?
You know, a long time. Well, but you know, again, 10 years practicing Ho'oponopono, you don't realize. I don't know, maybe 99? I'm not sure. Long time ago. Thank you. Yes.
Is your book available here?
Yeah, I have some that I brought to give away. So whoever wants to sign up for, okay. Any other questions? By the way, I'm not a writer. I decided to write this book because there wasn't anything about Ho'oponopono. I started with my radio show, and people would call and say, where can we read about what you are telling us? And there wasn't anything. So I said, I have to. So that's how this book came about, just share.
I'd like to take a break, and then you can talk to her or talk to her about the book, okay? Because people, you can see the stuff leaving the room, so this is the trial in them. They're saying, hey, break, so can we take a break?
Thank you.